They were my chickens. Baby chickens.
Here you can see just how excited my daughter is to be buying chickens. And where else to spontaneously buy chickens than Tractor Supply?
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I just got stuff for my chickens. I buy chickens today, so I have some food. There's stuff like her water and food, and this is like a live-in for a little bit. And today is my dog's Kobe's birthday today. This is his gift that he can play with.
And as you can see, there is certainly no shortage of chickens at Tractor Supply. So when we got home, we were super excited to get these little guys into their new home, especially before my wife came home and realized what we were up to. I should have probably had their water and food in there prior to putting them in, but it all worked out in the end. I just made sure I had a good grip on them so they wouldn't jump out of my hands and hurt themselves. I decided to go with these brooder plate heaters instead of the traditional heat lamps. I'll let you do your own research, but this seems like the best method. It's safer for you, it's safer for the chickens, and it was just a lot easier to work with. The pegs on the plate can be inserted into different holes as the chicks get bigger. It's as simple as that. One thing I was worried about was, how will I know if they're too hot or too cold? I know a lot of people keep saying if they're too hot, they'll stay away from the heat, and if they're too cold, they'll just group together right under the heat source. But so often they're just moving around, eating, pooping, drinking, pooping, and chirping and pooping. So with this type of heater, it's super easy to tell. Once the chickens settle down to get some rest, they usually just settled underneath the heater and were pretty quiet. And that's a sign that they're happy. As time went on, they started sleeping near the outer edge of the heater. And I took that as a cue to raise the plate by changing which pegs they were in. It was as simple as that. I didn't use any thermostats or anything fancy. So for anyone worrying about the same thing, don't. Unless you have a traditional lamp heater, then you're on your own. So my daughter and I, we tried to feed them from our hands throughout the day, just so they could get used to us, get used to human contact. And I really do think it helped because right now they are super friendly. So we did it probably 2, 3 times a day. Sometimes we wouldn't even have food in our hands. We would just put our hands in and they would just hop on and just start pecking around. So it's definitely something I encourage if you're trying to make sure that your chickens are used to people and more friendly. Now, when I got the chicks, they were about 3 days old and they were actually used to the pine bedding already. But I still went with paper towels, as you can see here, just for a few days. I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable. And to be honest, it was just easier for me in the beginning when I didn't really know what I was doing. I kept watching for pasty butts, but my chicks apparently had good hygiene and nothing got stuck to their butts. But it was a way for me to also check their feet. I know that was another concern that a lot of people had. So those first like 2 days it was pretty easy. So this was the first morning after we got them, and they are all still alive. So we were a little nervous. I did tell my daughter, hey, listen, there's a chance that some of them will not make it through the night, and it's just normal. But, luckily they all survived, and not just the first night, but all the following nights. Now, I know what you're thinking. These guys are so cute, and they are. They really are. But they are messy. So messy. I added bedding into the brooder to cover their droppings and mask the odor every day. And about once a week, I would do a full cleaning of it. But when I say they poop a lot, I mean they poop a lot. I elevated their water some by putting a piece of wood underneath. I did the same thing with their food, but man, that would not stop them from kicking all their bedding into their water and their food dish and pooping in it as well. I ended up putting two pieces of wood underneath, but you know what? It just, nothing was working. I'm sure there are some better methods to it, but man, I had to clean that water dish out like 3, 4 times a day, check on their food a few times as well throughout. But these guys are messy. Now, at this point, they are 1 week old, and look at those feathers coming in. I mean, these guys are just awesome. They are growing fast. They're jumping a lot. They're really stretching their wings. They're not really getting any height. They can jump on that brooder plate, but that's about it. They can't get any higher than that. They have not been able to jump onto the food dish at this point. I think it was around that 2 week mark when they could finally do that. Now here you can see the heater plate. It's tilted a little bit. So I noticed that they were kind of sleeping on the outskirts like I mentioned before. And so I just moved the pegs up one on one side. So that way if they wanted to go underneath, they could go to one end and it would be really close to them like they were used to. But if it was getting too hot, they could still stay under it, but just go to the other side and it would give them some more room. I also put a perch in there. I just made one real quick, something that they could just kind of get their feet on. Um, you know, they of course pooped all over it, so I had to constantly keep cleaning it. But they did seem to love it. It's funny because you could see it was almost like it was always the same ones, the same chickens that were on the perch. The others would try to get on, but I guess that whole hierarchy thing really started setting in early. And here you can kind of see I just put my hand in, no food, but it was mostly just so they can kind of get used to my hand, and they would just hop on. Once they hit like 3 week mark, I mean, they were just, as soon as I put my hand down, they would all just try to fight to get on. But this was a good chance for me to also check out their legs, make sure everything looked good. I still check their butts every now and then, make sure everything's clean. But you know, when they're on my hand, it was a lot easier for me to see, just to make sure nothing was everything was as it should be. And fast forward to 4 weeks old. Look how much bigger they've gotten. Most of their feathers in. They still got a few more. But man, these guys are great. They're a lot of fun. They're very used to my hands, so they're still very friendly. But yeah, and also another thing is I believe we have 3 roosters. And in my area, you can't have roosters, so that's something I'm gonna have to figure out soon. I am working on their coop right now, and so I think when they're about 8 weeks old, I'll put them in. But I hope to kind of figure something out with the roosters by then. And 8 weeks later, the chickens spent their first night in the coop. I kept them in the coop the first 3 days without giving them access to the run. I've read that this helps the chickens kind of get used to where they should sleep at night. I haven't had any issues with them going into the coop to sleep at night, so I'll assume it worked. They spent their first night sleeping on the floor, and I was a little concerned about that, thinking maybe I did something wrong. But the second day and on, they've been sleeping on the roosts, so all is good. Oh, and you'll notice here I only have 3 chickens. So when you buy chickens from Tractor Supply, oftentimes they're not sexed. So 3 out of the 6 we bought ended up being roosters. And we can't have roosters where we live, so we had to find someone who was willing to take them. If you have any questions about anything I went over or have any general questions about raising backyard chickens, let me know in the comments section. I do have a video coming up soon on a walkthrough of this chicken coop that I built, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Hope you liked this video, and until next time, happy homesteading, homies.